Good morning, everybody, or whatever time it happens to be, wherever you are. This is your second lecture of Chapter 1 in your Human Growth textbook. And I wanted to just draw your attention to a couple things that's kind of cool about your book. On page 6 and 7, it lists the different stages of the life course or the age periods. For instance, prenatal, infancy, early childhood, emerging, late adulthood, and to death. And this is the same sequence that I'll be covering the rest of the semester. So each topic area is going to be broken down by stages in the life course. I don't know if I said it in another video, but there's going to be a little bit more attention on certain stages of the life course than others. We're going to be kind of heavy the first part of the semester, and before we get to adolescence is a really fun chapter to talk about. We all remember being in the 8th grade, I think, and some of you may have 8th graders. And then emerging adulthood, that's also a fun chapter, fun topic. So that's like young adulthood. Many of you are certainly in that. And of course, I got to talk about middle age because that's me. I'm right in the middle of middle age. And then we'll end the semester talking about death. So this is just kind of a cool 2-page little spread, page 6 and 7 in your textbook. I also, I'm struggling a little bit as to how to present this information in a way that's most meaningful and useful to you. I'm gonna stick with the sequence that it's in the handout that I gave you, or hopefully you've printed off. I have tried to make sure that if it's on the handout, it's also in the textbook. It just may not be in exactly the same order, but I'm pretty certain if you find the word in your handout, you're also going to find it in your textbook. So the last time we were together, in the last video lecture, we were talking about the 3 domains of the life course, right, or the 3 domains of human growth or developmental psychology. You'll remember one is physical, one is cognitive, and cognitive means thinking, very good. And the third one is psychosocial. And there might be a little bit of confusion about what we mean by psychosocial, but this one is really more of, well, if we were in sociology, it'd be more like the social psychology stuff of it, but it's the social interaction and how social interaction informs our personality and our emotions. So if you're getting those confused, it's because I've probably explained them in a way that's not completely clear, but understand that that is one domain. The social and the emotional is one domain. The physical, the body, what you see, and then how we think, that's a different. Those are the 3 big ones, right? So and then I had your task for the first lecture was an example of social emotional ones, and you're doing a great job. Thank you. There's been some really good ones. Okay, so the next part of the chapter then just gets at some of the influences of development, and here you see words like heredity and environment, which is the fancy way of using like nature and nurture, right? And that's one of the cool things about this particular discipline or this particular topic is it's very aware of, and it acknowledges the role of both the social, which would be your environment, and the biological, which would be your hereditary, your genes. So like next chapter, we actually talk about genes. And then another term here is maturation. Your book defines maturation as the unfolding of a natural sequence of physical and behavioral changes. So that's like change, right? Growth, maturation. And then the big question, if we were in a room together, and we might be talking about what do you think is more important, nature or nurture? I actually asked this in my sociology class too. Who we become, is that because of our life experiences, or is that because of our biology? Is it because, I would like to tell a story here about my father. When I was pregnant with my son, I have a 26-year-old son. He's on the autism spectrum. And my father's been dead for 20 years, 21 years. And when I was pregnant with him, my dad says, well, he's going to be really smart. And my first thought was, oh, he's complimenting me, right? Because he knows I'm going to be a good mom. And he said, no, because he's got my genes. You know, so I'm thinking from the social environment and he's thinking, you know, from the hereditary environment. And then we've got, of course, so that would be a fun question to ask. And maybe I'll make that a discussion question. But some other things that I think are also worth pointing out are things like the family that you're born into, or parts of our social environment, right? The family that you're born into, is it a nuclear, which is biological parents and children, or maybe extended, right? Now, I teach a sociology of family class too, and we get into all of these definitions. Extended would be multiple generations. Perhaps there's only one adult, which your textbook calls single-headed. Perhaps there's two adults, but they also happen to be the same sex. I'm in the sociological of family stuff, there's a move away from what they terms like broken. You won't hear me use that term. No family is broken, or blended, and that's because the research suggests that families don't really blend. They may reconstitute. You may have stepchildren or step parents, but they don't really blend. Now, I've never lived in a step family, in a traditional step family, but I understand is that in a step, there's always sort of a ranking. There's always sort of this notion, and maybe you live in have had a different experience. Of course, the culture that you come of age, that you're born into, and your race, your ethnic background. Now, there's, again, if we were in sociology, we would talk about the difference. Oh, there's a really great discussion in here in your textbook here, talking about race and ethnic groups. Ethnic groups refer to one's cultural background, right? Your ethnic group is your language, your religion, what you eat, how you wear your hair, how you dress, right? Where your people come from. That's your ethnic group. Race is based on a perceived, and this is important, a perceived biological difference. Race, the concept of race, is not new. It's an ancient idea. The idea that we sort people out based on how they look. Exactly what people use, that biological thing, the biological trait that is used to sort people out, that is not, that varies over time and across place. In our culture, we currently are using skin color. Other cultures use things like the way where hair texture. A book I have on my bookshelf is called The History of the White Race. And it argues that from the very beginning of humankind, humans were able to say, you look different than me because, or because my people, because your nose is bigger, your ears are bigger, your eyes are further apart or closer together. You are therefore an outgroup, an other group. Race is a very old idea. The fact that we use skin color in our culture, in our contemporary world, that's a relatively modern idea. So there's this really great, on page 12, there's an image of a dark complected or a darker complected girl and a lighter complected girl, and they were born twins. They were born, and you ask the question, if two children can come out of the same woman's womb at the same time, not exactly the same time, at the same time, and have different complexion, then what exactly does race mean? And that's the big question. What difference does race? And race is real because we make it real, but that's a sociology class, and I'm just supposed to be doing the introduction to human growth and development. Okay, so anyway, so culture. Ethnicity is culture, right? The way one looks, the biology, one's complexion, refers to as race, right? The same way you have an orange cat and you have a black cat. And then, of course, historical context. This is a fun topic to talk about, is the historical topic. And I don't want to rush it, and my 10 minutes is about up. So I'm going to wrap this up right here. And in the next video lecture, I want to talk about the role of history, terms like normative and off time and things like this. So in this chapter, in this lecture, all we really talked about is heredity and environment. Bye-bye for now.